Welcome to the Tiny House Ideas podcast. And I was going to ask as well, you mentioned that sort of, especially the studio is a space that feels a lot bigger than it is. And I can see behind you in the one bedroom, there's a lot of glass and stuff. So I'd imagine that's one of the ways that you sort of make the space feel bigger, but sort of what other tips and tricks do you use to sort of get the most out of the space?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And I think it's a question that anyone who's dealing in small space design always asks themselves, right?
Yeah.
How can I take this really small footprint and make it feel
yeah.
right? And it's really the name of the game when it comes to ADU building or tiny home building, right? Is how do you make that feel larger? So
yeah.
A few steps that we've taken. Tall ceilings are really important. When you can't expand the footprint, what you can expand is the vertical space by which you have, right? So all of our ceilings are vaulted cathedral ceilings, which bring the kind of volume of the space quite a bit higher. And also you never have that kind of compacting flat ceiling kind of pushing down on your being. Another really big thing, which you touched on, is the amount of glazing which we have in the units, right? So we actually have about the maximum allowed glazing under California's energy code in all of our units, realizing that the more natural light you can bring in, the larger the unit's gonna feel. But there's also a really other interesting piece here. Creating long sight corridors by which when you come into the unit and your eye is drawn super far down the unit makes the unit feel much larger, right? So not compartmentalizing the space too much where your line of sight is only ever 10 or 12 feet, but really making that space, those sight lines be 30 feet, 35 feet, 40 feet, because the further you can see, the more feeling of expanse the space actually has. Yeah. And so all of our units actually feature one of our design features, what we call our kind of light corridor, which there's two really tall windows on either side of the unit, and you can see all the way through the unit via those windows, right? So not only are you creating natural light corridors for the light to go through, but you're creating sight corridors for inhabitants to be able to feel that space. One of the other things that we've seen be really impactful is an open kitchen concept, right? So how do you create this space of actually using the kitchen, right? Because what do you do most often in your place of dwelling? You eat and you sleep, right? And eating is part of that experience of preparing food. And so a no compromise kitchen where you have the adequate counter space, you have the appliances you need, and you have the elbow room to move around is really important to that sense of high integrity, high quality living. And we've really invested in our kitchen spaces to make them have that sense of high quality and high integrity living.
Thanks for watching this little teaser for the Tiny House Ideas podcast. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, it's available on all major streaming platforms. So that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and all of the others. Alternatively, if you'd rather watch it sort of in a video format like this video has been, then that's available on Patreon. Just search for Tiny House Ideas. So thanks again for watching. Please do check out the full episode, and thanks again.